In the heart of northern Utah, a stretch of land known as Skinwalker Ranch has become one of the most perplexing laboratories for modern science. This isolated mesa, surrounded by quiet desert plains, is not merely a geographical feature. It has evolved into a scientific crucible where physics, biology, geology, and aerospace engineering collide. For decades, the site has defied explanation, producing a tapestry of phenomena ranging from electromagnetic anomalies and unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, to bizarre biological effects on humans and animals. At the center of this ongoing investigation is a recurring signal, 1.6 gigahertz, a frequency known for its use in satellite communications and aerospace telemetry. But on this ranch, it appears spontaneously with no discernible source, sometimes coinciding with the manifestation of luminous objects in the sky, disruptions to GPS systems, or sudden physiological reactions in human observers. The scientific team, composed of physicists, geologists, aerospace engineers, and technologists, has spent years trying to unravel the mechanisms behind these phenomena. Their approach is methodical drill into the mesa to study subsurface structures, conduct electromagnetic spectrum analyses, deploy ground-penetrating radar, and perform controlled experiments with rockets, mortars, and optical transmitters. One of their earliest findings was the detection of a massive dome-like structure buried deep beneath the mesa, a structure impervious to drilling and composed of material similar to that used on the space shuttle's thermal shielding. The implications of this discovery are profound. If the material is terrestrial, it suggests the presence of advanced aerospace engineering embedded deep underground, possibly decades old. If it is not, then the question becomes even more extraordinary. What kind of intelligence or technology placed it there, and why? Subsequent radar scans revealed a second anomaly, a vertical metallic object over 100 feet tall, buried behind the dome structure. Its composition and geometry remain unknown, but the data suggest artificiality. These findings, combined with the detection of selenium, a material sometimes used in optical cloaking technologies, in nearby geological samples, fuel speculation that the mesa may conceal a structure designed to evade detection. The concept of electromagnetic cloaking, once the stuff of science fiction, is now an emerging field in physics involving metamaterials that manipulate light and radio waves to render objects effectively invisible. If selenium-based compounds are indeed part of a buried structure, it could represent either a highly classified terrestrial technology or an artifact of non-human origin. While drilling and radar have provided insights into the subsurface, the surface and airspace above the ranch are no less enigmatic. Researchers have repeatedly documented the spontaneous failure of equipment rockets, refusing to ignite GPS units, losing position, and spectrometers detecting sudden surges of electromagnetic energy. These events often coincide with the reappearance of the mysterious 1.6 gigahertz signal. The signal itself behaves like a communication burst, exhibiting modulations that do not align with known terrestrial transmitters. In one experiment, scientists broadcast this very signal back into the atmosphere using a triple-spectrum light-wave transmitter capable of emitting ultraviolet, visible, and infrared laser beams. The objective was simple: provoke a reaction. The result was anything but. During the experiment, multiple rocket launches were attempted. 2 failed inexplicably before a third succeeded. Moments after ignition, observers reported seeing a pulsing purple light near the southern field, an area already associated with numerous orb sightings and unexplained illnesses reported by both locals and investigators. The phenomenon was transient, disappearing as quickly as it appeared, but it was captured on night vision and correlated with anomalous readings on electromagnetic sensors. Soon after, a second, more astonishing event occurred. A flashing UAP hovered over a team member, seemingly tracking his movements. The synchronization between these aerial manifestations and the transmission of the 1.6 gigahertz signal raises a critical scientific question. Is this merely a coincidence, or are we observing an interaction between an unknown intelligence and our attempts to communicate? The investigation took another intriguing turn when the same signal began interfering with a local FM radio station 10 miles away. The interference produced static and strange audio artifacts, disrupting the station's live stream. When the station broadcast the 1.6 gigahertz tone over its frequency, the station's waveform, which should have remained constant, exhibited erratic spikes. In the world of radio engineering, such behavior is highly unusual and suggests that the signal may be interacting with the ionosphere or with an unknown emitter, possibly responding to the broadcast itself. Even more extraordinary, within hours of this experiment, eyewitnesses across the region reported seeing multiple lights in coordinated formation moving across the night sky. Their trajectories, speed, and lack of navigation markers made conventional explanations improbable. If the phenomena were indeed a response, it would imply that the signal is not merely a passive transmission, it may be part of an active communication network. While electromagnetic anomalies dominate much of the research, geological investigations have revealed evidence that is equally compelling. Drilling operations have repeatedly encountered hard metallic barriers beneath the mesa. A camera inserted into a narrow cavity captured glimpses of reflective surfaces, and a strange pink mineral later identified as selenium was extracted from the site. Selenium's presence in this context is unusual. Naturally occurring selenium does not typically form in concentrated deposits of this nature, suggesting that it may have been introduced deliberately. Additionally, the team discovered signs of intentional blasting along the mesa's face, suggesting that portions of the structure may have been deliberately collapsed, possibly to conceal a tunnel system or subterranean chamber. Smoke bomb tests revealed strong airflow patterns within these cavities, with smoke being drawn downward and disappearing, completely indicating the presence of a vast void or ventilation system beneath the surface. Thermal imaging drones confirmed temperature differentials consistent with large air-filled spaces underground, further supporting the hypothesis of a concealed structure. This aligns with multiple eyewitness accounts, including those of former security personnel who described encountering massive animal tracks, cavern entrances, and even shape-shifting entities near the mesa. From a scientific standpoint, the combination of physical evidence, metallic anomalies, airflow thermal gradients, and historical testimony suggest a high probability of artificial modification within the geological structure. Whether these modifications were made by humans, possibly as part of a classified defense program, or by a non-human intelligence remains an open question. At the biological level, Skinwalker Ranch is equally enigmatic. Visitors and investigators frequently report sudden symptoms, headaches, nausea, disorientation that disappear once they leave the property. These symptoms are consistent with exposure to strong electromagnetic fields or ionizing radiation, though measurements have yet to identify a consistent source. The variability of these episodes suggests a dynamic system possibly linked to the electromagnetic anomalies detected during experiments. If so, the site may represent a naturally occurring geophysical phenomenon such as piezoelectric discharges generated by stress within the Earth's crust, or, more provocatively, a controlled energy field generated by an unknown technology buried beneath the surface. The implications of these findings stretch beyond geology or physics. They point toward a complex interplay between electromagnetic fields, atmospheric phenomena, and possibly even directed responses from unknown intelligences. One of the most provocative observations made during these investigations is the apparent feedback loop between human activity and anomalous manifestations. When researchers drill into the mesa, signals spike. When they launch rockets, unidentified aerial phenomena appear. When they broadcast specific frequencies into the air lights, manifest in the sky. This cause and effect relationship suggests that whatever is producing these phenomena, whether a natural geophysical process, a hidden technology, or an extraterrestrial presence, is responsive to external stimuli. In other words, the system seems to notice when it is being probed. This concept is not unprecedented in scientific literature. In plasma physics and atmospheric science, certain charged particle layers within the ionosphere can be stimulated by electromagnetic waves, leading to observable phenomena such as sprites, blue jets, or unexplained luminous events. However, these effects typically occur in the upper atmosphere and are well characterized. The phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch, by contrast, occur much closer to the ground, often within a few hundred meters, and they demonstrate a level of spatial awareness that natural processes do not. This responsiveness has led some researchers to hypothesize the existence of a field-based intelligence, a form of distributed consciousness embedded within the electromagnetic environment itself. Although highly speculative, such ideas resonate with emerging theories in quantum information science, where fields and particles are seen as carriers of information capable of storing and transmitting data across vast distances. Another possible explanation involves the concept of technological signatures, physical or electromagnetic traces left by advanced civilizations. In recent years, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, has expanded beyond radio astronomy to include technosignatures such as laser pulses, industrial pollutants in exoplanet atmospheres, and non-natural orbital patterns. The 1.6 gigahertz signal, with its peculiar modulations and apparent capacity to influence the local environment, could represent a localized technosignature. Its recurrence responsiveness and interference with human communication systems all suggest that it is not random noise. If it is indeed a signal of intelligent origin, it may be part of a broader network, perhaps a relay node, a beacon, or even a monitoring system embedded within Earth's electromagnetic environment. The possibility that Skinwalker Ranch could host an extraterrestrial probe or observation device is not as far-fetched as it once seemed. The concept of Bracewell probes, autonomous self-replicating machines designed to observe emerging civilizations, has been discussed in astrobiology circles since the 1960 seconds. These devices theoretically could lie dormant for centuries, activating only when certain technological thresholds are reached. The observed responsiveness to rockets, lasers, and radio transmissions could fit such a behavioral model. If this is the case, the dome-like structure beneath the mesa and the vertical metallic anomaly might represent components of such a system, perhaps an antenna array, a power source, or even a storage vessel for data. Of course, more conventional explanations remain on the table. The presence of advanced materials and evidence of deliberate excavation could point to a classified Cold War-era installation, possibly related to aerospace testing or electromagnetic research. During the mid to late 20th century, the United States and Soviet Union both conducted experiments with ground-based radar arrays, ionospheric heaters, and electromagnetic propagation facilities, many of which remain shrouded in secrecy. If the mesa houses remnants of such a facility, the phenomena observed today could be artifacts of decades-old technology interacting with modern instruments in unpredictable ways. However, this hypothesis struggles to account for the biological effects, the apparent responsiveness, and the coordinated aerial displays reported in recent years. The underground anomalies pose their own set of scientific questions. The smoke experiment suggests the presence of extensive cavities beneath the mesa, yet the absence of visible outlets implies that these voids are either sealed or lead to deeper, more complex networks. If artificial, they could be tunnels, storage chambers, or conduits for electromagnetic energy. If natural, they could be part of an ancient volcanic or hydrothermal system, one that perhaps exhibits unique piezoelectric properties capable of generating electrical discharges. Such discharges under the right conditions could explain some of the luminous phenomena observed above the ranch. Quartz-rich rock under mechanical stress, for example, can produce electromagnetic emissions, a phenomenon known as the piezoelectric effect. These emissions could in turn interact with atmospheric particles to create visible orbs or plasma formations. Yet even this explanation falls short when faced with the most extraordinary evidence-coordinated UAP formations that appear in response to specific stimuli track human movement and disappear on command. These behaviors exhibit hallmarks of intentionality, a characteristic that natural processes, however complex, do not possess. One particularly striking instance involved a pulsating purple light that seemed to follow a team member across a field, maintaining a fixed distance and altitude as if observing or scanning him. In another case, a cluster of 5 lights appeared in precise formation, hours after a signal broadcast experiment, maneuvering with agility that defied conventional aeronautics. These observations align with patterns reported in UAP encounters worldwide, patterns that suggest advanced propulsion systems possibly utilizing principles of field manipulation, inertial damping, or space-time warping. The material evidence further deepens the mystery. The detection of selenium, a key component in certain optical metamaterials, hints at technologies designed to bend light or electromagnetic waves. If a cloaking device or sensor array is buried beneath the mesa, its purpose might be to monitor, conceal, or communicate. This possibility gains traction when considering the signal's recurrence even in the absence of active experiments. If the 6 GHz frequency is part of an ongoing transmission, it may serve as a passive beacon broadcasting data into space or synchronizing with a larger network. Conversely, it may represent a handshake protocol, a kind of digital ping awaiting a response which human experiments may have inadvertently provided. Even the biological effects observed on humans could be part of this puzzle. Sudden nausea, headaches, and disorientation are consistent with exposure to pulsed microwave radiation, a technology that has been studied for decades in both military and biomedical contexts. If the site is emitting or receiving such energy, it could explain the physiological reactions without invoking exotic causes. Alternatively, if a non-human intelligence is indeed present, these effects might be an unintended consequence of their technology, akin to radiation sickness from an unfamiliar energy source. Ultimately, the investigation of Skinwalker Ranch is a collision between science and the unknown. Every controlled experiment, from drilling into metallic anomalies to broadcasting electromagnetic signals into the sky, seems to peel back another layer of a vast interconnected system that resists simple explanation. The convergence of evidence from multiple disciplines, geophysics, radio science, aerospace engineering, atmospheric physics, and even biology, suggests that the phenomena are not random or isolated. They are part of a coherent, dynamic environment that interacts with human activity, possibly in real time. Whether this environment is natural, artificial, or extraterrestrial remains the central question. If it is natural, it represents a geophysical system unlike any yet documented one that blends geological, electromagnetic, and atmospheric processes in ways we do not yet understand. If it is artificial, it may be the most sophisticated hidden installation ever constructed on Earth, one whose purpose and operators remain unknown. And if it is extraterrestrial, then Skinwalker Ranch may be one of the most significant contact points in human history, a place where intelligence from beyond our planet has chosen to observe, communicate, or perhaps even influence. In the end, science demands humility. The data collected so far, metallic anomalies, mysterious frequencies, anomalous biological effects, and responsive aerial phenomena provide tantalizing clues, but not definitive answers. They challenge our models of physics, stretch the boundaries of engineering, and force us to confront the possibility that our understanding of reality is incomplete. Skinwalker Ranch is no longer just a geographical location. It is a frontier of knowledge, a living laboratory where the known and the unknown converge. The investigation continues, and with each experiment, we move one step closer to unraveling the enigma buried beneath the mesa, pulsing in the sky above, and perhaps waiting patiently for us to understand.